Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from Lagos, Nigeria. Uh, you're welcome to the onboarding program of EGabriel Mentorship. I tend to switch between calling it a bootcamp and calling it a mentorship program. And my reason for this is because I assume that it's simply going to be a mentorship program, right? Where we just help one another um, to learn a lot of things around both around .NET and technologies, that we use around the ecosystem. Yeah, so that's why I try to just use mentorship most of the time. But bootcamp is a word that's familiar with a lot of persons, so I guess I'll just keep switching between bootcamp and mentorship program and all of that. So, anyways, once again, you're welcome to the onboarding program. I would like to. Okay, I'm already seeing some comments. Let me see. All right. Hi everyone. Hello. Hi everyone. Hi everyone. So yeah, um, we're about 13 or 15 persons already. Yeah, I believe others will be joining. So while we're waiting, why don't we just go ahead to introduce ourselves? I know I can see a lot of our names, but we could introduce ourselves. Where we're from. Probably I stay in Lagos, Nigeria. I stay in for those who are familiar with Nigeria, I stay in Lagos, Ajah precisely. But then if you're not familiar with Lagos or you're not familiar with Nigeria, then you could just tell us where you're from. If you're from, I know the number of persons from Ghana, one person from Kenya. So if you're yeah, why don't you just introduce yourselves in the comment section? Tell us where you're from, and you know, let's just get to meet one another. Um, Nice to meet you too. That would be Joseph. Yeah, nice to meet you, Joseph. Um, Ibrahim says he stays in Lagos, Nigeria. Nice to meet you, Ibrahim. And I stay in Lagos, Nigeria as well. And hopefully, maybe one of these days would get to meet. I guess. All right. So, Ifeanyi, where are you from? Femi, where are you from? Caleb says he's currently in Enugu, Nigeria. That's interesting. Timothy is from Aja. John Peters from Aja. Um, Sean is from Lagos. Nice to meet every one of us. Um, so, the onboarding program is just to, get us familiar with what the program is all about. Talking about the EGabriel mentorship program or the EGabriel bootcamp program, right? So it's just to get us to be familiar with what it's all about, what's needed. Oh, we have Sunday. Sunday is from Ghana, and I believe Ghana is on GMT time zone, so that's Ghana should be at 1 p.m. right about now. Nice to meet you, Sunday. Welcome to the program. We also have some other persons from Lagos, Nigeria. We have Samuel from Lagos. We have Emmanuel from Lagos. Emmanuel, you happen to be my namesake. So my name is Gabriel Emmanuel. I don't know if I had done that introduction. My name is Gabriel Emmanuel, and yeah, I'm a software engineer with some just roughly around 3 years of experience and all of that, right? So let's just dive right in so that we do not take a lot of time doing the introductions, right? So I'm just going to dive right in. I have a number of items that we're going to be talking about or we're going to be discussing on my screen here. So welcome and introduction. We've already done that. I just introduced my name, and a lot of us have introduced ourselves and we were from as well, right? Um, the purpose of the meeting I mentioned is just for us to familiarize ourselves with the purpose of the bootcamp or the mentorship program, how it's going to run, and some key learning points and achievements that we'll be having right during the process of this mentorship program, right? So yeah, so let's start with the reason for bootcamp. The reason for bootcamp, right? So you would say I'm not doing this for financial gain, right? Because if I was, the bootcamp would not be free, right? So why am I doing this, right? I'll just give like a brief story of my journey. I started learning program sometime in 2018, just after I finished my youth. So if you're from Nigeria, you know what I'm talking about, right? So I just finished my youth service in 2018, and then I decided, okay, let me try tech, and I started learning. Then from 2018, fast forward to 2020 during COVID, I was just in a learning loop, learning different things and repeating some of my learning stuff, right? So I was learning front end at the time, HTML, JavaScript, and then there was like a loop that I kept going in and around, right? I'd go to JavaScript, I learn a few things, I come back to HTML, CSS, I learn a few things, and I keep going. And then whilst I was running institutes, right? Fast forward to 2020 when I met my mentor. His name is Vincent, right? So he asked me to, be focused in what I was going to be learning. And then I picked up .NET in 2020, sometime around March and April. And then I got my first job about October of 2020, right? So that's like, I would just attribute the success of that learning process to the fact that I had a mentor, I had someone to guide me as to what I needed to learn, what I needed to focus on, and all of that. And ever since then, I've made like my aim to help others, right? Based off of what I've done so far in the industry, I want to also I find it difficult to focus, right? The learning, right? So find it difficult to focus the learning, and I'm just gonna put this down. Yeah. So find it difficult the learning process and all of that, right? So this is what the mentorship program is about, and this is the first quad. This is the third quad, right? So the first quad wasn't as successful, still learning the ropes. The second quad was a bit more successful, and some of us saw the reviews from the second quad, and then this is the quad, right? So, and I'm seeing the dividend from my consistency and I consistently trying to do this, right? Now we have a lot more people who are involved, who are interested in learning, and who are interested in putting in the work to achieve what they want, right? So basically, that's like the reason for bootcamp, right? I would give about 30 seconds to allow us, let me know if you can hear me properly. So if you can hear me properly, please just put the information in the comment section. I have about 30 seconds to us. Let me know if you can hear me properly. In the meantime, I'm just going to look at my mic. Give me a second. Can you hear me fine now? Uh, Give me a second. Just confirm that you can hear me fine now. Okay, give me a second. Hello, can you hear me fine now? I'm just gonna give another 30 seconds to confirm that you can hear me. Awesome. I think I'm getting feedback that you can hear me fine now. All right. So what I'm going to just give me a few seconds to just help a few other things, and I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry about that. I think I needed to just get a different mic. I think this is fine now. So, I was talking about what the program is about, the reason for the program, and I don't know if I should repeat that. But then basically, the short form of my reason is just so we can, help each other grow, help each other know some of the stuff that we need to learn, and you know, get better at .NET and then the technologies that are necessary to write software with .NET. Right. So I lost train of thought for a second, but I guess we're back. Yeah, so another thing I want to talk about on the onboarding is a brief overview of what the boot is and what has been done so far in the bootcamp, and then what would be done in the future. So, a brief overview of what the bootcamp is, right? It's a community of learners, right? Because that's what we are, right? Nobody needs to act as if we know more than the other person, right? So it's just a community of learners coming together to learn different stuff and help each other grow. That's like the most basic I can put it, right? What I've been done so far, right? Since today is the first day, this is like the onboarding of the program. We would assume today is the first day, right? But then so far we've gotten to know one another. A lot of introductions have happened in the introduction channel. There's some coding challenges that have been responded to by some participants, and it's been. I like the fact that we've put ourselves out there. Nobody is trying to stay behind their shell. We're putting ourselves out there. We're communicating and all of that. That's how what we've done so far. And then starting from right now, we're going to resume the bootcamp proper. Yeah. My idea is to have the bootcamp for 12 weeks. That's about 3 months. It might be up to 12 weeks, it might be less than 12 weeks, it might be a little bit more than 12 weeks. But then the timetable or the curriculum that has been created by myself and my team is about 12 weeks. And what Hello, welcome back. Sorry, um, the reality of Nigeria. My internet just went off. But I'm back. Yeah. So I was saying that um, we already created a schedule for the program, and program is supposed to run for about 12 weeks. Maybe less, maybe more. But then that's like the schedule that have been created. And in that 12 weeks, we're going to be talking on first the fundamentals because we don't want to assume that we're getting gurus, right? Want to assume that okay, everybody is learning. Some needs to come from the basics, even though the part of the requirement of being on the bootcamp is that you know the fundamentals, right? But we still don't want to assume that you know everything about the fundamentals, right? So we're going to start with the fundamentals. Then we're going to do like a little bit of introduction to .NET, ASP.NET. Then we're going to be doing some things on generic repositories and architectures and link, right? So generic repositories, I'm pretty sure we know what that is. Architectures, we're talking about Clean, Onion, and the likes. Then link, we're talking about language integrated uh, something query. Can't remember what N stands for, but then that's what we're going to be doing on week 4, thereabout. Then we're going to be doing some things around caching, security, and UML diagrams. Then we're going to be doing some stuff around HTTP calls and gRPC. Then we're going to be doing some stuff around DARPA and Docker, right? DARPA in this case, we're talking about not DAPPER. We're talking about DAPR. Most of us might have not heard of it, but then we're going to be touching that around week 8 and week 9. Then we're going to be touching on RabbitMQ or maybe Kafka on the last week. And then we're going to be working on our projects at the end of the program. Then how is it going to be structured? We're going to be having teams. So if we want to learn, we have to work as a team, right? So we're going to be working on we're going to be working in teams of probably 4 or 5. We're going to be doing code reviews around our teams. We're going to be writing articles. Some of us are going to be joining me on some of our YouTube series and our podcasts. We're going to be writing some articles. And so basically, when you just I'm learning how to code, we're also going to be able to, we should be able to, write articles surrounding some of the concepts that we're learning, right? So basically, we're going to be doing all of that. And this is broken in stages, right? We're already on stage 1. And in a second. Yeah, so we're already on stage 1, and as we progress to stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5, 6 until we get to stage 10, right? So most of this, how do I put it now? Most of these stages would run for a week, right? But then it doesn't mean that you have to stay in a stage for a week, right? You could complete your task before the week runs out, and then you move to the next stage. And but then, what not totally working solo. You're going to be working in a team. So for you to be taught to have completed your task, you need to have completed your task as a team, right? So if you're building let's say a service for week 3, and then you're not done with your team, then you're not set to have done with your tasks, right? So because most of the time when you're working in an organization, working as a team, right, you're not working solo. So basically, if your team is not done, this product is not ready, right? So that's just the idea that we're trying to imbibe within us in this mentorship program. Yeah, so explain the format of the bootcamp and how it will run. I think we've touched on that and the stages and all of that, right? Highlights the key learning points and achievements of the participants in the bootcamp. So for this, right, we've touched a bit on it, right? key learning points. I've touched on some of the things that we need to learn, achievements. At the end of the day, you have a lot of, should I call them products, services or stuff that you might have built. That so if someone was to say, okay, what have you built or what have you done with .NET, you have some things to point out to. Some of the achievements for the program. We have a number of products that help us. I don't want to call them product, right? So we'll have a number of solutions that you might have built at the end of the program, either by yourself or as a team, right? Then you also would have some articles that you might have written. They're going to be on your blog, because we're going to encourage you to create a blog, probably on Ashnode or Medium, or probably a self-hosted blog. So you're also going to have some podcast discussion and some YouTube live discussions, right? That you could also point out to that. Oh, this is something that you achieved, or this is something that you've done, or this is something that you did during the program. That's some of the achievements and some of the learning points that you would, benefit from with this program. I would also have loved to introduce my team with every one of us, but two of them are not here. We have Andrew on the call. Andrew is also a software engineer .NET, and we also have Chinaza is going to be a program coordinator on the program, and she's going to help us to make sure that the program runs smoothly and communicate with each and every one of us from time to time. Then we also have Angela, who's also a software engineer. She's also not present right now, but then we're going to introduce them during the week. Both unavoidably absent for this call, and I'm sorry about that, but we're going to introduce them during the week. But one way we're going to recognize all these, I don't want to call them mentors, but part of the organizing team is, because not all of them are going to be mentors. Some are just going to help us to make sure that the program runs smoothly for both we and you, the participants, right? So one way we're going to recognize them is they're going to be having on their profile a particular icon, a different type of icon, any type of icon. We're going to be having them on the profile. But to distinguish the mentors or the organizing team from you, the participants, we're going to encourage that each participant also add an icon on their profile, right? But this time your icon is going to signify what stage you're on, right? So right now everyone is on stage 1. You have to put on your profile that you're on stage 1. So you have to put 1 on your profile, right? So when you move to stage 2, you have to put 2 on your profile, move to stage 3. So that way we'll be able to easily identify what stage you're on, because I believe there are some times when we have some persons on stage 1 and then other persons on stage 2 and all of that. So that's one thing that we need to keep in mind, right? So at this point, I think that we can have some questions. If you do have any questions as to what we've discussed so far, you can ask them in the comments section. So I'll be expecting some questions right now. And I encourage that you can ask whatever questions you want to ask, right? So you can ask those questions now. So I'll be waiting for any question, just about any question that you want to ask. Just type them in the comment section. And Yes. Basically, the curriculum can be shared with you and what you are expected to achieve on different weeks. There are also resources that have been provided, some video resources, some article resources for those who like to read. For visual and auditory learners, we have some video resources, and those who like to read codes, we have some GitHub repositories that you could also, we're going to be providing, right? So yeah, we'll share that with you during the coming days slash weeks. Weeks, oh, not really weeks, but coming days. Let's see. Yeah, you're welcome, Mary. You're welcome. Let's see what we have here. Is there going to be some sort of disqualification of teams or individuals at any point? So basically, since it's not like a learning program, right? Although to make sure that persons are, should I say, involved, we're supposed to have some sort of disqualification of teams and all of that, right? But then since it's not like a learning program, it's not going to be like an outright disqualification or something, right? You're just not going to be able to move to the next stage if you've not done the previous stage, right? So that's like the semblance of disqualification that we're going to be having, right? So you're probably on stage 3, you're doing something around sorry about that. Give me a second. So you're going to be doing something around, let's say, link or something like that, but you're not done, then you're not definitely not going to be moving to the next stage, right? So that's like the semblance of disqualification that we're going to be having. I hope that answers your questions or your question. What happens when we fail to submit 2 consecutive tasks? So like I said, right, you're not going to even go to the next stage without completing so you're not going to go to stage 2 without completing stage 1, right? So there's even no opportunity to fail to submit 2 consecutive tasks, right? So you have to complete 1 to move to the next stage, right? That's like how it's going to work. Let's see. For the scope of .NET development, are we focusing on web or the .NET ecosystem in general? So we're focusing mostly on the back end, right? Working around monolithic and microservices, right? If I get a question, you're probably asking if we're going to be doing something around maybe IoT, game development or stuff like that. No, we're focusing on web, right? But then on the backend aspects. So we're talking about monolithic backend services or microservices. Talking about DAPA, we're going to be talking about RabbitMQ and the likes, right, for microservices. So yeah, that's what we're going to be touching mostly. What is the time and day duration for each course? So a poll was carried out sometime last week to discover the time availability of participants, and then I realized that some of the participants, or maybe about half of the participants, are workers. So basically, we're going to be focusing mostly on weekends for our discussions, our meetings, and stuff like that, right? But then this is not also going to be like a class where we're going to be having, although we're going to be having some discussions, some code reviews and stuff like that, right? But it's not going to be like a class where I'm going to be teaching you what this is or what that is, right? So we're going to be working with resources that have been provided to build a solution. So we're going to be given the task that, oh, you're supposed to build this and this is what you're supposed to achieve and this and this and this. Then use these resources to find out how to build this. And then if you have questions, meet up with your first close unit before going to the team, before coming to probably me or any of the mentors, right? And that's just how it's going to work. But mostly weekends when we're going to be having our discussions and stuff like that. But then sometimes during the week, you could also reach out to me and or any of the other team members to assist you probably they might decide to have like a class to discuss some of the problems that you're having and stuff like that. But mostly weekends and sometimes during the week. And I also failed to mention that I've lined up 3 talks by some I, should I call them industry experts? Some persons who are already in the industry. One is going to be talking to us. Let me just get a team so that you're going to be interested, right? Let me put it up here. So one is going to be talking to us on preparing for a job/job interview, right? So what do you need to do to prepare for a job or job interview? How can you get a job or job interview, stuff like that, right? She's going to be talking to us about that on the, let me see what the date is, on the 25th of this month. Yeah, so that's like next 2 weeks, right? So block that day on your calendar. It's going to be 6 p.m. February 25th, right? And we're also going to be having another talk by my mentor. If it's going to be free, I'm not so sure of his availability, but he has promised to be available. So let's see what's going to happen. On the 11th of March, 6 p.m., is going to be talking to us on what's available to you in the .NET space. It's going to be talking to us on that topic. And finally, so far, the ones that I've confirmed, we have another a friend of mine, colleague. She's going to be talking to us on the 14th of March. Topic is not just another number. Connection is key. That's a very vague and vague topic. I really don't know what's about, right? So, but then I'm also looking forward to that one. So you should block those days. I'm also trying to get one more person to come give us a talk, and to make this bootcamp, very, very interesting. Once I get that, I'll schedule that and also let everyone know. Yep. Let's see. How will the learning class be done? I think I touched on that. It's not really going to be a class. It's just I'm going to be like learn around among peers, right? So you're going to be learning amongst yourselves. You're going to be groups, actually, right? In groups of 5, you're going to group yourself. I think in week 2, that's when the grouping will happen, and you're going to be learning amongst yourselves. You'll probably have code reviews amongst yourself, and have meetings during the week, schedule meetings and all of that, right? So that's what's going to happen. Then are the sessions weekend only or every day? I mentioned weekends mostly, but depending on the mentor that you're discussing with, a mentor can decide to schedule a call with you during the week on any problem that you're facing and you need assistance with. Let's see. Are there specific languages like C# we'll be learning with the .NET framework? C# is the only language that we're going to be using for this program. We're not using F# or any of those other languages. Are we creating teams ourselves? Yes, but we'll let you know when that should be done. Right, we'll let you know when that should be done. We're not doing that on the get-go. We'll do that later on. Great outline. Thank you. Are we going to be doing anything around API? We're going to be doing a lot around APIs, right? So whether monolithics or microservices, we're going to be doing a lot around APIs. And good thing is some of the organizing team have worked around APIs, they're mostly working around APIs, microservices and the like, so they have like the hands-on experience to be able to guide you through it, right? So yeah. Okay, awesome, thank you. How will the classes be done? I think I touched on this earlier on. 25th is election day. Oh, well, I didn't take that into account, but let me see. Give me a second. 25th, February 25th. That should be, well, that's a Saturday. But then the time is 6 p.m., right? So I assume that we should be back at home by 6 p.m. Yeah, I'm not so sure. So I think what I'll do is I'll talk with my friends to find out if she can move it to 26th. And if that can be done, then we'll do that. And then I'll let everyone know. Right. Yeah, so that's what I'll do. I'll speak to her and let her know um what or find out if she can move it to 26th. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's I think that's all the questions. I don't know if you have any other questions. Any other questions or feedback or suggestions or anything, right? Just give a couple more seconds to see if there are any other questions or feedbacks. Yeah, so while we're doing that, we also would like to encourage that you ask more questions during the program, probably in your units, which should be your group or in your stage. Or there's also like so I'm going to just pull up the Slack channel and mention some of the necessary. You can't see with one channel. Please send me a DM and then we'll handle that. Please send me a DM and then we'll handle that. All right. So the announcement channel is where we're going to be dropping announcements from time to time as regards programs and activities and all of that. Coding challenges. We're going to be dropping some coding challenges during the week to just keep us active and on our toes so that we're not just thinking that we have a lot of time and all of that, right? So there's a games channel. We're going to be having some games during the program. For some of those games, you might get to win something. For some of the other games, might just be for fun and for cruise and all of that, right? The general channel, it's just like announcement for mission. Then there's the help channel where you can ask for help from any of the participants. So basically, you don't want to be asking in your stages channel. So leave the stage channel clean, right? So you can ask in your group channel because you're going to be creating groups when you have your group, right? You're going to be creating groups. You're going to be having groups, and then your stage channel should be clean, right? So if you have questions, you ask in your group or you ask in the help channel where we have other group members who are willing to respond or assist, right? Then the introduction channel we've used so far to introduce ourselves, and I appreciate that everybody, have been able to introduce themselves. And if you've not done so, you could do so. You could also, go through it, see the persons or the people in the group, try to make friends. Since you're picking groups for yourselves, you want to pick the best set of people who would help you grow, right? So how are you going to know someone who's going to help you grow? Is by, getting to converse with them, getting stuck with them, play with them. It's not just about coding. Sometimes you just have other conversations and then be able to find out if someone is actually the kind of persons you want to have the kind of person you want to have in your group, right? And then you can have those conversations in the random channel. So there's a random channel where you could just have conversations, play conversations, cruise conversations, fun conversations, and just chat around with even persons who are not in your group, right? And I think that is what the third talk is about, not just about numbers. Connection is key, right? So sometimes some of these connections that you're making right here in the bootcamp might help you after the bootcamp, right? You might get to meet someone who eventually have like a link to a job, and then because you made that connection there, you have the opportunity of getting that job and all of that. So don't just think that you're here to just learn and all of that. You're also here to make connections and here to meet other .NET developers and people who are of like minds to you, who know what you want, and then will be able to help you achieve that goal, right? So have those conversations in the random channel. Then stage one is for those who are in stage one, and then when there's stage two and stage 3 and 4, 5, then you should be able to have those channels. You should be able to be in those channels as well. With 0, we're going to be closing that down shortly. We're just waiting for those who are there to be able to complete their requirements to be able to be moved to stage 1. What's the requirement? The most important one is add your name and your image, right? So that we know who is who in the chat, right? So basically, that's what we have in the Slack channel and what we're supposed to be using the Slack channel for. Yeah, so thank you, Mary. It's stage one and not week one. So if you're on stage one, then there's no need to look for a week one. But then if you're not in stage one, send me a message on Slack. And I also mentioned the requirements to get to stage one from week 0. Yeah, so what else? Let me see. So just a summary of what we've done so far. We've talked about what the program is all about and what we intend to gain from the program, how many weeks the program is going to run for, the stages, and what's required to go from one stage to the other. And I also mentioned that we're going to be writing articles, we're going to be on podcast and YouTube series, right? So let me just touch a bit on that so that we know what is required from us on that, right? So the articles, right? So on weeks where we're supposed to write articles, I would encourage everybody to build a project, produce. I don't want to call it a product, right? The solution, right? Build the solution and then write an article on what you did to build the solution. Anyways, instructions will be given during those weeks, right? For podcasts, the title of our podcast for the sorry about that. The title of our podcast for the bootcamp is, or the series is Learning with Purpose, right? The series is called Learning with Purpose, right? So for those weeks where we're going to be having those podcast discussions, I could decide to pick anybody from any of the teams and just schedule you for a podcast call. A podcast is where we'll just discuss on something, right? So for that week, we're probably going to be discussing on how you learn with purpose and how you're able to achieve a few things with purpose, right? So just prepare yourself. Any one of us can be picked. And for each of those podcast series, we'll have 2 persons that would be picked. Then for what's the other one? For the YouTube series, the series is titled A Week in the Life of, right? A Week in the Life series. So it's going to be the same thing, right? You're going to be involved in our YouTube series or YouTube Live where everybody from the program would learn about what you're able to achieve in that week, how you were able to achieve it, and if you had like some blockers, how you were able to overcome those blockers, right? So I could just pick anyone and just schedule you for the YouTube series as well. So let's also prepare for that as well. Thank you very much for joining this onboarding call. Before tomorrow evening, I'm going to do a recording call on what's it called now? Let me just confirm this. I'm going to do a recording call on introduction to .NET and C# and installation and configuration of Visual Studio, right? So I'm going to do that tomorrow and then share with the class. Then also we're going to let you know the outcome for the program for this week and what your assignments would be, right? So expect all of that between now and 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. Also, I dropped a link for those who might want to learn more about C# beginners course in the announcement channel. Please go through it. Someone else dropped one in the general channel. Please go through it if you need it, right? So just go through it, try to brush up your C# skills, and then it would be very necessary in the program. What else? I think that's everything. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the program. See you tomorrow. Yeah. Not really on a call, but then we'll continue to chat on the Slack channel. Bye.